to get answers for you in real time. Now, today we have California's Labor Secretary Julie Su to talk about unemployment benefits and stimulus-related questions. I know you have many, so please post them on our Facebook live stream, YouTube Live, or check out our Instagram stories to submit your question. We'll also talk with Congresswoman Jackie Speier about more potential help, more money down the road. But first, joining us today, California's Labor Secretary Julie Su. Julie, we know you've been super busy, so thank you for taking the time to help our viewers through a very challenging time for them as well.
No, thank you so much.
Absolutely. Just give us the scope right now, because we know COVID has really decimated the California economy. 1 in 5, we hear, now unemployed. So just how many Californians have filed for unemployment benefits since this pandemic really took hold in mid-March?
So, right, in the last 6 weeks, we've had over 3.5 million Californians apply for unemployment insurance benefits. To put that in perspective, 2 weeks ago already, we had more that had filed just in this pandemic period than in all of 2019. We, however, have been able to pay out now over $7.5 billion in that same time period to Californians in unemployment insurance benefits. We are now, just this week alone, we paid over $3 billion. So we are ramping up our ability to meet the need. But definitely, the good job that Californians have done in staying home and bending the curve has certainly had a financial toll.
Yeah, Julie, I want to show folks what kind of benefits you have available right now. So we do have that graphic that your office has put out. There are different types: disability insurance, of course, paid family leave, unemployment insurance, workers' compensation. They can get the rest and details on your website. But for this purpose today, I want to focus on unemployment insurance and also the new PUA. A lot of people have been calling your office or trying to use your website to either file a new claim, ask for an extension. We're hearing so many stories of people who cannot get on. They cannot get through. They're getting automated messages, or they're getting glitches or errors on the website. What are you doing to address the call center and the website?
So no one is more frustrated by that than I, except probably the governor himself. We have a system that is outdated, even in the best of times. It is a system that when the governor was elected, we immediately accelerated efforts to replace and to modernize, but that has not happened. So it is the system that we have to use. Having said that, it is still the most reliable way to apply for UI and now the pandemic unemployment assistance also. We are monitoring it at all times to make sure that it can meet demands. We are trying to relieve stress on the system in real time with as many changes as we can make and still staying compliant with federal law. And so we are also significantly ramped up our phone service line. So we have 2 lines now, one in which people can get on and do the more complicated claims adjustments, claims changing, claims corrections, claims cancellations, and the other where people can reach a live person to get to answer more general questions. And we just this week we served 50% more than we served in the prior week, and we're continuing to work to improve that as well.
I mean, even when the economy was good and you were processing a lot fewer claims, wouldn't you say even then your staffing level and your computer system were not what they needed to be even before this crush?
Yes, without a doubt. And in fact, when the pandemic hit, California was experiencing year-over-year economic growth, right? A decade high in terms of prosperity, and unemployment insurance is cyclical. So in times like that, the staffing for unemployment insurance is low. And so we were ramping up also from historic lows in terms of that was another challenge for us to meet. Now, having said that, none of those should be excuses, though. We are working every single day. I wake up every single day, look at the UI numbers, think about what we need to do and how we need to do it better. Mm-hmm. And so we are continuing to do that, and to make sure that we are also, we're not just getting payments out, but that we are being safe and secure with Californians' data, their social security numbers, their tax information, right? Really trying to be quick and accurate and also careful and thoughtful.
All right, I want to bring in some of our viewer questions because we've gotten over 100 on our website and on our Facebook. So here we go with a few of them. So can folks weeks later, if their claims are approved, but their card, they have not received it yet, what can they do?
So the Bank of America has been working very closely with us on ramping up their capacity also, right? Obviously, they went from, it was like 20,000 cards a week to over 100,000, and now they're reaching 200 and 300,000. So if some of the confusion is if people already had a card, then their benefits are being uploaded directly to that card. They're not getting a new one. If they can't find that card or they need a new one, then they are going to need to contact B of A to do that. And B of A has both a website, and they've also ramped up their phone lines as well to meet that need.
All right. Gabby wants to know, my husband applied March 17th after Disney closed down. He hasn't heard back from EDD, and we have been calling. How much longer till we get some real information? I mean, I know you expanded hours and staffing, so how much longer?
So generally, if a claim is, if we get all the information that we need in a claim, we can process them and get payments out within 3 weeks. That means that that there was no issues with the identity of the person when they applied, that all the information was entered in correctly and matches with information that we have about wages. We're still making payments in about 3 weeks, which is what we were doing before the pandemic. For those who are still waiting, it could be a number of different things. One, it could be something that was inaccurate in the information that was entered in. Another could be a lack of match between what's been reported and what we have in terms of wages. There's a whole host of possibilities, and we are working on those claims really as quickly as we possibly can, knowing that when we can correct them and get the money out, that's what Californians need at this time.
All right, we are talking about the new PUA program, and you launched that this week to accept applications. That's mainly for gig economy workers, business owners, people who ordinarily wouldn't have qualified for unemployment. But there have been a lot of issues there. And Joanna is asking, for the self-employed, what are we supposed to put for 2019 income if our taxes have not yet been filed? Do you know?
Yes, so just list it's net income. The federal guidelines that establish PUA say it's net income. So put your net income in there. I know many people they're so anxious, and things about UI can be really confusing and very stressful. So people feel like, oh my gosh, if I answer something wrong, I'm going to be delayed forever. Really, our advice to everybody is to fill the answers in honestly. Some of the questions may not seem like they apply very much to those who are self-employed. And that's fine. For example, if it asks you to list a manager and you don't have a manager, you are your manager. You can list your own name in that box. So in those situations, list your the net income that you have for 2019. At this point, to get benefits out very quickly, we're paying out the $167 per week minimum under PUA. We're paying that out as long as you're eligible, as long as you are COVID-19 affected in your employment as of the date that you specify. And we will go back later if we need more information about your income. We're trying to gather as much as we can without asking Californians to have to submit more. But if we need it, EDD will ask for it. So for now, submit what you know and submit that application.
All right, Julie, thanks so much. Folks, we're going to take a short break on the air, but we're going to continue this conversation over on our live stream platforms, and we'll be back on air in a couple minutes. But you can join us on Facebook Live right now if you want. All right, Julie, thank you so much. Let's do a little bit more here while we are on commercial break, but we're still streaming on Facebook. I want to ask, this speaks to proof. By the way, folks, control room, I am hearing commercial right now. So if you can pipe Julie back in for me, that would be great. Thank you. So Kimberly wants to know, my daughter-in-law started a new job, sleep training babies, self-employed, but has no way to prove she was working and is now laid off. So how can she get help? Normally, I know there are requirements with, certification, proof, and all that. But in this case, what is she to do?
So I would say the same thing, Kimberly. As I said, fill in the application honestly. List what you were paid, certify honestly from what time you were COVID-19 affected, and we will take that information. Okay.
Here's another one. Cynthia wants to know, Well, Cynthia's question, I think we addressed. Luann wants to know, I can't collect any benefits due to the overpayment, which I paid off. Now they say I have to serve a 15-week penalty. I have 6 down already. Any help in how I can get benefits, or do I have to wait out the whole 15 weeks?
You do not have to wait, and I have good news. So we have made clear that people in that situation may be eligible for PUA, Pandemic Unemployment Assistance. That's because PUA was created not just for the self-employed and for independent contractors, but also for people who are not eligible for traditional UI. And those penalty weeks make individuals right now not eligible. So it's not a waiver, it's not a suspension. At some point, those penalties will have to be served, but not now, not in this pandemic, and it will not affect your ability to get PUA. But I want to be clear. If you already have a claim already in...
All right, Julie, I'm going to pause you because we're going back on air. So we'll continue the conversation there on ABC7. And we are back with California Labor Secretary Julie Su. Over on Facebook, we were talking about the difficulty with folks who, if they were serving a penalty due to overpayment, and do they have to wait out the 15 weeks or however many weeks they have? And I think this is a pretty broad issue. So if you can address this on the air again for our viewers.
I have good news for those individuals. We will allow... we're going to help you get pandemic unemployment assistance. So if you are eligible for it, what you will do is, and you already have a claim filed with EDD, then you don't need to reapply. You will start receiving a notice. It's a notice of Pandemic Unemployment Assistance Award as early as this weekend and into the next few weeks, in which you will be able to collect pandemic unemployment assistance for the period in which you were COVID-19 affected, regardless of those penalty weeks. You'll have to serve them at some time, but we're not doing that now, and we're not doing it through PUA.
All right, a little relief there right now. Okay, from Instagram, we're getting this question. Currently a full-time employee, but I was laid off from a second job. Can I still get unemployment?
So yes, if you're either unemployed or you have reduced hours of work, then yes, you could be eligible for unemployment insurance, and yes, we would encourage you to apply.
Okay. How do we know whether we are qualified or we've been qualified for PUA or PUI?
So it depends. So this is one thing we did to try to make it easier and also to comply with all the federal rules around PUA is there is one portal through which to apply. You go to EDD's website and you go on to UI online. And let me just say, because we may not get to everything here, the EDD has created a very helpful guide that answers a lot of these questions. So please use that as well. You apply on UI online and you will be asked a series of questions. And your answers to those questions will determine whether you get PUA or UI. So apply for it. If you do have employee wages, but those wages are too low for you to qualify for UI, then you may be eligible for PUA. You don't have to figure all that out on your own. You answer the questions that you're given, and we will help with that.
Okay, Christine Bustamante has a really great question. In a tough situation, was on disability for a year, employer is closed down now, and I can't return to work. Can I get unemployment?
So I would also say to Christine, because unemployment insurance eligibility is a result of many, many factors, I won't be able to answer that specifically without knowing more, but I would say that it makes sense for Christine to apply at this time, because if your business was shut down, COVID-19 related, you ought to submit an application.
Okay. Dina says, my son filed his claim and got his award letter. It says he has his money, but doesn't have his debit card. Tried to call you guys, and it's been forever busy. Do you have something to say other than just please be patient?
Well, so I'm not sure if he has a debit card and just can't find it, or if he's a new recipient and needs to be mailed one. So if it's the former, then B of A is uploading payments onto existing cards. If you can't find yours, then you will need to contact B of A, and they have a special website for EDD users, and they've also ramped up their phone line significantly. If you are a new applicant, then B of A will be mailing the debit card to you, and that can take now up to about 7 days.
Okay. As you know, normally unemployment recipients can only get 26 weeks benefits, but under the Federal CARES Act to support people during this pandemic, there's an additional 13 weeks. We're getting lots of questions both about people, not able to get that extension and also just when can they get it? Yeah.
Right. So I have a bit of relief there too. If you exhausted your benefits between February 2nd and March 28th, you are eligible for PUA. You may be eligible for PUA if you meet the other requirements. So in that situation, we are also, if you already have a UI claim that is open, meaning it's still open, they're all open for up to a year, and you have exhausted, then you can sit tight because EDD is going to be sending you a notice also starting this weekend and into the next couple of weeks about how you can get PUA. Now, if it's not during that period between February 2nd and March 28th, then we are still working on programming those extensions. The problem is the federal guidelines, federal law for PUA does not allow us to keep paying you on PUA for that time period. We wish it did. That flexibility would certainly be very helpful, especially in times like this, but we have to comply with the federal law. So we are working to make that extension available beyond that February 2nd to end of March period, and we will keep putting out information about that as it comes available.
Julie, we have about 45 seconds before we take another break, but I do want to get to this question. Sabrina Monique Jackson says, I filled out the claim form wrong because I was using my mobile device and it disqualified me and won't let me recertify. So she said she tried to call many times, couldn't get in touch with anybody. So she's still waiting for the stimulus. What is she supposed to do?
So I'll say two things really quickly. One is, Sabrina, you will still, if you're eligible for benefits, you will still get them, including the $600 per week for that time period. Just because you can't get through right now, you're not going to lose out on the benefits. But this is part of the frustration with the whole system is you should be able to do that online yourself. You cannot. So you do have to reach somebody at EDD in order to fix mistakes that are made, which is why we really urge people to be very careful in filling out those applications.
All right, we'll take a short break on the air, but we'll continue our conversation with California Labor Secretary Julie Su over on our live platforms or live stream platforms, so you'll want to join us there. Plus, when we come back later, Congresswoman Jackie Speier with what other help is coming our way. All right, Julie, thank you so much. You're doing so great. You want some water?
No, I'm fine. Thank you so much.
Okay, all right. This is an unusual question because most people want to know how they're going to get their money, but Desi Morton wants to know, how do you stop automatic payments since I'm going back to work?
Oh, you can. So there's a way you're supposed to recertify for benefits. We've actually, we're suspending that for a period of time to relieve pressure on the UI online system, but you can just go back into your UI online account and let us know. Let us know that you're back to work, and I'm actually really happy to hear that question, that's happening.
I know, I am too. Congratulations, glad that you're going back to work. Hey, Mr. Producer, when we come back on air, how much more time do we have to chat? We'll have 3.5 minutes. Okay, Julie, I think it's really important with 3.5 minutes. I would like to also talk about the long term. What happens to help people when we come out of this, because I know you have some thoughts about that too, right?
Great. Yes. Yes, absolutely.
All right. Great. What else would you like to touch on with our audience that you think they really need to know that we haven't addressed yet?
Gosh.
How about the paid sick leave for food sector workers?
Oh, sure.
Yeah?
Sure.
That's new for this week, right?
That sounds great. The executive order was actually signed, I think it was a couple weeks ago. Let me see if I have the exact date. But that is a really important thing to get information out about. Let me see if he signed it on April 15th.
Yeah. Okay.
But no, it's great.
Okay, we're coming back on in 10 seconds. What is that? Is PUEC the same as PUA?
That's the 13-week extension. It's not the same. Do you want me to address that?
All right. And we are back on air with California Labor Secretary Julie Su. Julie, we have about 3 minutes left. I want to get to a couple more. Roberto is asking, if I got furloughed from my job and I'm expected to return to my job once the shelter in place is over, am I required to look for work each week?
That is part of the flexibility that we are applying because of the pandemic. So generally, you are required to certify that that is the case, but we have suspended that requirement just given the realities of the pandemic.
Right. Let's see. Ariel Lynn wants to know, I was affected back in March, but cannot get through to talk to anyone during March or April. Will I get retroactive payment later?
Right. So we want to be very clear about that. The time it takes to get in and get an application submitted will not affect the amount of your benefits. So while it is frustrating and we need to work to make that all better, it will not affect your eligibility for benefits. So for example, if you should have been getting benefits as of mid-March, and you should get the $600 per week starting on March 29th, you will get those when you do get your payments.
All right. Chris Anna Murray wants to know, I applied over 6 weeks ago, still have not gotten any benefit. I've called every week. Online, though, it shows that I have benefit, and, you know, what should I make every week? But I have yet to receive anything. So I guess there's a discrepancy. What do I do?
Well, I'm not sure in that particular case, but it does sound like, Christina, you're entitled to benefits. And I'm not sure when you got that notice, but if you don't already have a debit card, then it is taking about a week for the card to be put in the mail to you. The good news is once you get the card, any subsequent benefits will be automatically uploaded.
Okay. Real quickly, we are getting some questions about PEUC. That's the Pandemic Emergency Unemployment Compensation. Who qualifies?
Right. So that's the 13-week extension to regular unemployment insurance for those who've exhausted their benefits. It's what I said earlier, that some people may be eligible for PUA for the time period February 2nd to March 28th. We would love to extend that longer until we can get the PEUC fully available to Californians, but we have to comply with the federal requirements that do not allow us to do that.
All right. Julie, we only have a minute, so I like to look into the future. I know right now so many people are in need and they're getting financial assistance directly. But after all this is done, I mean, employment development, another aspect of what you do is to ensure there are future opportunities for Californians. So what are you doing in that regard?
Well, today is International Workers' Day, May 1st, right? It's the day where we celebrate working people and the hard-won rights that workers have, including the 8-hour day, including overtime, including here in California, some of the highest standards for workplace protections in the country. And so it's a really good time for us to talk about what that means in the pandemic world, which includes making sure that workers are protected on the job. The governor signed an executive order extending paid supplemental sick leave to food sector workers. And really in looking to what the economy is going to look like, we want to make sure that we can rapidly reemploy people, put them back to work, open businesses up in a safe way, and really build an economy that is good for workers, good for business, and built on economic equity and quality jobs.
All right, California Labor Secretary Julie Su, I know you guys have a massive task ahead with the expansion of the call center, the whole upgrading of the computer system to try to better serve all the Californians who are so in need right now. Let's keep this conversation going. We invite you back anytime.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. And when we come back, we'll talk live with Congresswoman Jackie Speier about more potential stimulus money on the way. Okay. Julie, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. It was a pleasure talking to you. You make everything super clear and you're very direct. And I just think it's been super helpful. So I hope you'll make the time to converse with me again real soon.
Thank you very much. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you. All right, Eric, so we're moving on to Congresswoman Jackie Speier, perhaps. All right. And then when we come back, how much time do we have? Oh, hi, Jackie. How's it going? Can you turn your phone so that it's horizontal? And there could be a screen orientation lock right now, which sometimes happens. You may have to unlock that by swiping up the phone and, oh, do we lose her? Well, I think, yay! Katrina rocks, woohoo! All right, that looks good, that looks good. I can't hear you. Oh! You are on air. You're on Facebook now.
I'm here. I'm with you.
Hello, hello. And you will stay here for a while longer, right? Because now you're not going back to D.C. next week.
That's right.
Excellent.
One more
Okay.
week.
Hey, when is your next town hall for your constituents?
You know, I don't know that we've scheduled one for next week. We did two this week, one with a hotel council and one with small businesses and the SBA. But I don't know. We haven't scheduled one for next week yet.
Okay. I mean, I know you had one scheduled that you had to cancel to fly back to Washington
Right.
for the vote, right? So,
We've had
alrighty.
like 8 of them. So, and they're a little expensive to put on. That's why we're a little reluctant to do another one.
All right. We're coming back on air, so hang on to that, and we're coming back on air. Oh, okay. Welcome back. Our conversation about unemployment and stimulus checks and help for the American people continues now with Representative Jackie Speer, Congresswoman representing parts of San Francisco and San Mateo County. So thank you so much for making the time for us today. Good to see you.
Of course. Good to see you as well, Kristen.
So before this, we were talking about California Labor Secretary Julie Su, and we know there are federal stimulus checks passed by Congress under the CARES Act, and they did go out, but many people report not having gotten theirs, and they have trouble reaching the IRS to inquire. What do you think folks can do?
So they're going to be rolled out over a period of time. So if you're a Social Security recipient and you have direct deposit, you're going to have yours this week in all likelihood, next week. But then they're going to start actually printing the checks that they're going to send to people that don't have direct deposit. And those will start going out May 5th. And they will start with those who have the lowest incomes. So we're going to see those with 30,000, 40,000, 50,000. And so it's going to gradually get up to people who are making over $100,000.
Okay. Well, hopefully sooner rather than later. But what's in the next round in terms of CARES Act 2, the next round of stimulus help that could help Bay Area residents who are either unemployed or underemployed or who run small businesses? What do you hope to get?
Well, let's go back a minute, though. The unemployment benefit that we have put into the CARES 1 is really remarkable. Normally, independent contractors, sole proprietors, gig economy workers aren't even eligible for unemployment insurance because they don't contribute to the fund. But because of this extraordinary set of circumstances, we've made them eligible. So, and we've also sweetened the pot, so to speak. So in addition to what you might be getting, which ranges anywhere from $170 to $670, we're adding another $600. So people are eligible under, under any, this is my dog, any of those categories. But it's per week. So you're going to get anywhere from $770 to $1,040 a week for 8 weeks. And who knows, we may be increasing that for another 4 weeks before we're done. For CARES 2, what we're really focused on is state and local governments. We do not want to see layoffs in our local law enforcement, in our local first responders. There's so much work that's being done so extraordinarily by so many who are in local government and state government. So that's CARES 2. It's looking like it's going to be a minimum of $500 billion and edging up to $1 trillion because the need is so great. That Mitch McConnell's idea that somehow the states should be able to go bankrupt, and the president's idea, well, the red states are all doing really well, let's screw the blue states, is profoundly ignorant.
Well, I want to ask you if you feel like California has gotten its fair share of the small business loans. We've reported on the fund running out and a lot of local businesses, not able to get any assistance while we're hearing about chains and huge companies getting millions. How are you going to fix that?
Well, one of the things I want to do is shame the 200 companies that got hundreds of millions of dollars, if you add it all up, that could have received capital through other means. And the Secretary of the Treasury has said to them, if you return it by May 7th, then no issues. But if you retain the money, you're going to have to show that you legitimately should have received it.
Well,
So that's
Congresswoman
one.
Jackie Spear, that is all the time we have for today. When we talk, it's never enough time, so hopefully we can continue this another day. Have a great weekend. Thank you. And thank you so much for joining us today on this new interactive show, Getting Answers, back here at 3 o'clock on Monday. Have a good weekend. Oh, Jackie, our time was so short. Thank you so much. Thanks for joining us on Facebook today, everybody. Bye. Where's the